Overall, how would you characterize your team's performance tonight?
Not great at all. Not great at all. If you just look at the numbers afterwards, like, wow, he played great offensively other than maybe a few too many turnovers. But I just felt like from an offensive standpoint, we were just unbelievably sloppy, just incredibly sloppy with the ball. I didn't recognize a lot of what was going on from our practice to there. Really, it was just like it was an epidemic of not handling the ball and zigging when you should zag, and I don't know how many times they got their hands on our ball, dribbling, passing, whatever. I thought it was really, really sloppy and very disappointing. The things that we really think are really, really important is, defensive numbers. Our numbers were good, but I don't think their strength is a half-court offensive team, so I can't feel great about that, and I certainly don't feel good at all about their offensive rebound. Ours was good. We got 40% of our rebounds back, but so did they, and that's just awful. I love McInnes. I told our guys that before the game. I said, don't for a second sleep on this guy. He gets 6 offensive rebounds, 10 rebounds overall, 19 points. I love the way he plays. I love his game. He's so high energy and just so passionate. I told him that afterwards. I mean, 6 offensive rebounds is just, he's just whipping guys. And so thought we played not very well, very disappointing. And obviously we're going to have to play a whole lot better 2 nights from now.
You've talked after the first couple games about the concerns you've had with your team's defensive rebounding. 28 tonight. How much better is that toward what you'd like to see?
I didn't feel like we defensive rebounded well enough. I don't feel it. I don't feel our physicality yet. I think a few guys. I mean, I think Tyson and Isaiah really were fighting in there. Tyson. And also, well, we're talking about rebounding, but just as a team, I don't feel it. I don't feel it yet. Where we've got to get, and it's got to change. You have to be able to control the defensive board. You just do, and we're not. And we've said it 50 different times, and we're going to continue to do it. And hopefully we can get that change. Hopefully that is something that will change. But we'll see. But on a real positive note, so we've talked the negatives. Not just because I thought his numbers were unbelievable. That's about as good a stat line as you'll ever see. My gosh, what he missed 1 shot, he gets 24 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. I mean, that's as good a line as you can have. But it's not just that, it's just his approach. I'm so proud of him. He's just grown so much. He's so mature, and he's, that right now his approach is just the standard. He's cut in, he's mature, he's attention to detail, he's ready to play. He's like it's business, and that's what you want. That's what you need. That's why a lot of old teams win a lot, because they start to figure that out. They get that maturity that they realize how important everything is, how important every minute, every possession, every practice, every drill, and that's what he's doing. And I'm also really, proud of Tyson for his defense. I thought he was a very, very good defensive player on the floor, and was a big reason that we separated from them. So there was some positives. There's a number of positives, but I can't just leave feeling like, well, we played great. Should feel terrific about it.
What went into the decision to start Everett Ray tonight?
He's just been working so hard. He's been really, including the last game. He's just playing with a lot of passion, and felt like he deserved it. But nothing that was not a negative on Ethan or whatever. And that they are obviously battling for time. And competition's good. If the competition finds its way to who wants things the most, or who doesn't, and so I think that's a good thing, and I hope they continue to just keep pushing each other. We need them both. We need them both to play well, And it doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna split time, you know, I mean, they both play together or whatever, but I just felt like he just been working a little extra hard, and I thought maybe he deserved it.
There was a spell in the first half that you just mentioned about having both of them play together. What was the strategy there? Was it to kind of bring some physicality to the game
Well,
or slow it down?
part of it was Isaiah. You talking about the first half?
Yeah, they both
Isaiah
played.
had fouls, 2 fouls, and so our rotation changed. That was part of it. And somebody else had 2 fouls the first half, and we've only got 8 guys, and I try not to play guys with 2 in the first half. So then it became somebody needs a rest or whatever, and so it wasn't as much of saying we really want to play them together, but we always feel comfortable playing them together. But maybe it wasn't exactly the rotation we've been using.
You guys flashed a 1-2-2 tonight for a little bit. What did you see out of that, and do you want to do that in the future a little bit more?
You talking about defensively?
Defensively.
No, we actually did make it look like it because they got in that alignment several times and we were just matched up, but we did not play one possession of zone tonight, which we played 100 last game, you know, and that was one thing we just, now I will say we played the 3-quarter 1-2-2, if that's what you're talking about. We played that average at best, you know, we did it last game much better. It is funny about, you know, the 3-quarter court presses. Sometimes they're very disruptive to the other team, and sometimes they're disruptive to you because either you give up an easy basket or you don't always get the matchups at the other end. One of the real negatives of pressing is you don't get to match the way you want to match. Does that make sense? And so I didn't feel it was all that effective in the first half. So we just said at halftime, we're not doing this. We're going to have your matchup. We're going to play. We're going to guard, and we held them 35% second half, basically straight man to man. But I don't think, as I said, I mean, they've got some talented guys, and they're, you know, but I don't think their strength is half court offense. You know, I think their strength, at least tonight, was being very disruptive. They played, you know, unlike they've played in the previous 3 games, by the way, they played man almost the whole time, but in this one, they're 3-quarter pressing. They're running a matchup zone that looks like a 2-3, but it's not. And then they would trap the ball on a first pass, and, you know, a lot of disruptive things. And so that added to us looking so sloppy, but no excuse at all. Still, you've got to handle it. It's, you know, it's a college game. You know, you got to be able to handle that kind of pressure, and we didn't do very well at that.
Despite that sloppiness, your guys were able to find the open 3-point shooters and connect on quite a good clip in the first half, especially. What does that do for the team as you're struggling to kind of get some distance from Jackson tonight?
Yeah, well, that probably, if you just want to say, well, what was the difference in the game, is just that we just made most of our shots, right? You know, that was one thing we did really well, which is a pretty important thing. But I do feel like one of the most positive things about the first 2 games leading in here was we knew that we could shoot a lot better, particularly from 3, than we've been shooting, because we do have a number of guys that can shoot the ball well from 3-point range. So we knew that had we had normal shooting nights as opposed to 2 below average shooting nights, we could have really got away from those in the other games and really stretched the lead. And so I'm always fine with that. And then tonight, I don't know that we're going to shoot 50%, but, you know, Emmanuel's a very good shooter. He's making shots. Obviously, Zay's making shots. Ethan has always been a guy that's a threat from 3. CJ had a lot of great looks, just wasn't his night. Charles Smith is a heck of a shooter. Just right now, he's finding his way a little bit. He had a rough night tonight. But, you know, sometimes freshmen, it's, you know, they go up and down a little bit, but he's a heck of a shooter. So we have a number of guys that can stretch a floor, and I think over time, I hope that's one of our real strengths.
We spoke a few moments ago about the player that Isaiah Mike has sort of evolved into. Has he exceeded what you expected when you first got him?
We're pretty high on him, I will tell you that. You know, freshman year, he was pretty darn good. In the Atlantic 10, and he averaged 11 or 12 points a game as a freshman in the Atlantic 10. That's pretty good, hard to do. And after he got here, and he would tell you this if he's bluntly honest, you know, we went through some rough patches. Let's just say this, he wasn't nearly as mature, I'll just leave it at that, as he is now. you know, we bumped heads and disagreed strongly on the way we should handle everything, and he's just grown so much. So maybe when the recruitment, I thought he could be an outstanding player, and then maybe we had a bump in the road. But last year he was really good for us last year. I mean, this was his redshirt year. I'm talking about, it was a little bit like, you're not the guy I thought you were, and we talked about that. And then he just changed. He's like, I don't know, he figured it out. He grew up so much, and he's just really fun to coach. That's what I'm trying to say. Just really fun. It's so fun to coach guys that are so mature about this, that see it almost like the coaches do, as opposed to, and I mean, this is all across the country. Not everybody can there's young kids, young men, and they're finding their way, and there's lots of distractions and lots of ideas and lots of people telling them things from the outside, and sometimes it's hard to just really focus in on being a great team player and being a great player and what that really means to be a great player, not just how many shots you shoot or whatever, and just it's so fun to coach guys when they really get it. And again, that's why senior-laden, senior-laden teams in the country are winning big. That's who's winning most of the time, is those old guys, the guys that really start getting it. And the faster you can mature as a group, the better. We have a ways to go in that area. We've got to learn, how to handle adversity. We were playing poorly, guys are frustrated and barking at each other. It's early year. We got to learn not to do that. We got to learn that our word is next play. We say it all the time. Next play. You can't do one thing about behind. So you're on to the next one. You're on to the next one. So we've got to grow in that. How we approach a bad run, how we approach a bad play, how we talk to each other. All those kind of things. That's maturity, and it doesn't happen overnight. And you don't just tell guys, hey, do this, and then it's all fixed. It takes time, and it takes understanding, and it takes some heartache, honestly. It takes heartache sometimes to really, get guys to fully understand.
You talked about being disjointed or sloppy a little bit on the offensive end, and when you look at numbers like 17 assists, 19 turnovers, how much of that is what Jackson State was doing defensively?
Yeah, I think they're gambling a lot, and so if we didn't turn it over, we got great shots, better shots than you're going to get maybe with someone who decides, we're not trying to turn you over really, but we're trying to play really solid. It's just a style of play, and there's not right or wrong. But to me, I have to watch the film, but my feeling was that if you broke their pressure, they're really out, they're extending, they're trying to get a hand on the ball, well, that means they were really strong out, or they're gambling and trapping, which obviously paid off for them. First half, how many points they get off our live ball turnovers, for gosh sakes? That was their best offense, wasn't it? And so, but when they didn't turn us over, we were getting pretty better looks maybe than, so don't want to over celebrate that, but at the same time, you still got to make shots, and we did.